Heartwarming tale. Runaway bride's touching request to a stranger transforms their lives forever. The din of laughter and clinking glasses echoed around Emily, but in that moment, all she could hear was the frantic beating of her own heart. The warm air hung thick with the bittersweet scent of cinnamon rolls from the local diner, where her wedding breakfast was set to take place in just 30 minutes. She peered out from the flower-filled hall, absorbing the jovial atmosphere woven around her well-meaning family, each face adorned with bright-eyed expectations. But what lay ahead felt less like a step into the future, and more like a plunge into a suffocating abyss. "Emily, sweetheart, come help us set the tables," her mother called, unaware of the turmoil swirling inside her daughter. As she wove her way through the crowd, the claustrophobic pressure mounted. For too long, Emily felt like a puppet, strings pulled by others' dreams. The perfect husband, the perfect life, it all felt like beautiful chains binding her to a future she hadn't chosen. Her stomach twisted as the thought solidified. If she walked down that aisle, she might as well be walking into a cage. Tears pricked her eyes as she stumbled outside. "I can't do this," she whispered. Her feet moved on instinct, branches scraping against her legs as she sprinted down the familiar streets of Maplewood, her heart racing wildly as if it recognized the urgency she'd tried to suppress for so long. That's when she saw him. Jake, the mechanic with strong hands, was leaning against his weathered truck. The sun glinted off his gentle smile, catching her breath as she approached him, desperation etching her features. "Please, can you take me away?" she begged, the words pouring out like a flash flood. Without a moment's hesitation, Jake nodded, his heart beating in sync with hers. He could see the fear dancing in her eyes, could feel the heaviness of shattered dreams that clung to her like a veil. Maybe helping her could light a spark in his own dim life too. They took off together, navigating winding backroads that were alive with splashes of golden cornfields stretching to the horizon. Emily shared dreams of becoming a mural artist, vibrant colors dancing in her memory. Jake, too, opened up about scrapped ambitions of owning a bustling auto shop, dreams overshadowed by bills and responsibilities. With every mile, they peeled away layers of their souls, revealing fears and yearnings that echoed louder than any disapproving gossip from Maplewood. But trouble wasn't far behind. Whispers of judgment about Emily's absence spread through town like wildfire. Her family, horrified by her sudden flight, demanded her return. Jake found himself questioning, was he good enough for someone so ambitious? Each glance in the rearview mirror was a reminder of the expectations they left behind. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. As the road stretched before them, tension hung thick like the humidity before a storm. Emily's heart raced while visions of her family's disappointment loomed large. And Jake, concerned with becoming a burden in Emily's brave escape, began to contemplate pulling away. They were caught in an emotional labyrinth, battling their own ghosts. Just then, lightning flashed across the sky, revealing the truth they grappled with. Freedom always requires courage. Emily clenched her jaw. She couldn't go back. Not now. But a confrontation loomed with her family that might explode everything they'd shared. She could feel it not just in the air, but in the very marrow of her bones. Would they have the strength to stand against the judgment surrounding them as they fought for the life they truly wanted? The rain began to fall in earnest, splattering the windshield as they drove further from Maplewood. Emily stared out, watching the raindrops race each other down the glass, wishing she could feel as free as they seemed. But with every passing mile, the heaviness in her chest grew. It was a mix of relief and guilt, excitement and fear. Jake stole glances at her, trying to gauge her thoughts. He wished he could reach out and tell her that everything would be okay. But uncertainties wrapped tightly around them like the storm currently enveloping them. "Where do you want to go?" Jake finally asked, breaking the silence that had grown heavier than the rain. Emily turned to him, her brows furrowed. "I'm not sure. Anywhere but back." He nodded, his hands tightening on the steering wheel. Got it. Anywhere but back. Emily took a deep breath and sought for anything to latch onto. Maybe we could head to the coast? She suggested. It was a wild idea, but a spark ignited in her chest at the thought of oceanside murals. Vibrant waves dancing across towering canvases of sand. The coast? Jake repeated, his eyes lighting up a little. That sounds amazing. As he cranked up the radio, their favorite song slid through the air. They both sang along, laughter bubbling up suddenly, cutting through the tension like sunlight peeking through clouds. It felt easy, blissful even, and for a moment, her fear faded beneath the melody. But reality crashed back down as they hit a bump in the road, the truck jangling fiercely. Jake cursed under his breath, peering out at the dark clouds surrounding them. We might want to find somewhere to wait this out. Emily nodded, biting her lip. Right. Somewhere safe. They spotted a diner off to the side. Its flickering neon sign welcoming them like an old friend. It glowed through the rain-soaked haze, promising warmth, food, and a moment of respite. Jake pulled in and they dashed inside, shaking off their soaked jackets like lost burdens. Inside, the diner was alive with chatter, its cozy atmosphere instantly wrapping around them. Emily settled into a booth, taking a moment to appreciate the smell of frying bacon and freshly brewed coffee. She glanced over at Jake, who grinned back, relieved to be out of the rain. But the comfort was short-lived. Just as they started to relax, Emily's phone buzzed on the table. A stark reminder of the world they had left behind. A message flashed across her screen from her mother. Emily, we need to talk. You can't run away from this. Come home. Her heart sank, panic clawing at her insides. What's wrong? Jake asked, his expression shifting from relaxed to concerned in an instant. It's my mom, she whispered, staring at the words like they were a loaded gun, its trigger ready to be pulled. You don't have to reply, Jake urged gently. You're free to choose. But what if? For the first time, the weight of their decision pressed heavily on her. The freedom they fought for now feeling like a double-edged sword. Silence settled in around them, thickening the air as Emily wrestled with her thoughts. Could she stand up to her family when it came down to it? Did she even have the right to dream so boldly? As if sensing her turmoil, Jake reached across the table, brushing his fingers against hers, grounding her in the moment. You don't have to have all the answers right now. Just know you're not alone in this. Emily looked up into his eyes, where she saw a flicker of understanding, a recognition of their shared fear. In that instant, she realized they were in this together. The road ahead might be uncertain, but perhaps it was worth the risk if they could face it side by side. But just as her resolve began to crystallize, the diner door swung open, and a familiar face stepped inside, one that could shatter everything they'd fought for. Emily's breath hitched as she locked eyes with her younger brother, who stood frozen in place, mouth agape. Would he run for help, or would he finally understand her choice? Emily's heart pounded in her chest. She felt as if the walls had closed in around her, the din of chatter and clatter fading into nothing. All she could see was her brother, standing there, shock painted across his face, eyes wide, as if he'd just seen a ghost. It was moments like this that made her wonder if she could really run away from her life. Daniel? She breathed, the name escaping her lips painfully. He hadn't moved an inch. Jake leaned back, concern etched across his features. You know him? Her throat felt tight, and she nodded slowly. Yes, my brother. The air crackled between them. The clean scent of coffee and frying food wasn't enough to drown out the smell of dread hanging heavily in the diner. You shouldn't be here. Daniel finally found his voice. He darted forward, eyes darting between Emily and Jake with confusion and indignation. Mom is worried sick about you. Emily glanced at Jake, unsure of what to say or do. She hadn't wanted Daniel to find her. The thought of having to explain herself, or worse, dragging her brother back into the mess of her life twisted her stomach. I'm okay, Danny. I just needed some time, she said, trying to infuse her voice with a calm she didn't feel. Time. You're running away. Look at you. His voice cracked, breaking with a mix of anger and fear. What about school? What about Mom? Enough. Emily's voice came out sharper than she intended. Startled looks flicked around, but she couldn't let the weight of the diner's gaze suffocate her resolve. No, it's not enough. You think you can just disappear? You think it's that simple? Jake shifted uncomfortably, but Emily set her gaze firmly on Daniel. I'm doing this for me. I have to make choices I can live with. He looked hurt, and it made her heart twist painfully. But you can't just drop everything. You're leaving us behind. Maybe I need to, she whispered, more to herself than to him, the tears pooling in her eyes. A silence followed that felt like a lifetime. Daniel, so young, yet suddenly thrust into the chaos of adult emotions. Then, without warning, he stepped toward her, his eyes shifting to Jake, and confusion morphed into something else altogether. You're with him? The question stung, and Emily felt trapped between two worlds, the life she felt obliged to return to and the one she wished to run toward. She wanted to scream, to tell him how confusing life had become, to explain that she didn't want to sow discord, but the words tangled like thorny vines in her throat. Jake, sensing the weight of the moment, stood up slowly, placing a hand on Emily's shoulder before turning to Daniel. Hey man, I know this is tough, but your sister is looking out for herself. It's important. Daniel's face shifted from anger to another kind of vulnerability, and Emily felt a weird pull toward him, a mix of protective instincts and the love that only siblings shared. Do you want to come sit? She asked tentatively, hoping to bridge the gap between them. He hesitated but finally nodded, cautiously taking a seat across from them. With heavy silence wrapping around their booth, Emily felt like every tick of the clock was a reminder of the ticking bomb that was her decision. She searched for something to say, some way to reassure him, when the diner door swung open again. Another face stepped inside. One that made her blood run cold, a tall man with a familiar stance and sharp eyes. Dad. She froze, heart racing in panic. How had he found her? What would happen next? Would she run again? Or face the storm? Her breath caught as she spotted him. The man who had once been a source of comfort, now a looming threat. Dad. The world around her faded. Customers murmured, oblivious, their conversations drifting like shadows. It was just her and the figure of her father, cutting through the air between them. Danny, stay put, she hissed under her breath, hoping her brother couldn't sense her rising panic. No way would she involve him in this. Not now. Jake stepped closer to her, his brow furrowed, but in that moment, all she could focus on was the way her father stood, scanning the diner. A tight knot formed in her stomach. He had been against her every decision lately. Each of her attempts to find herself met with anger and disappointment. Would this be no different? Emily. His voice boomed in the small space, slicing through her thoughts. Her heart raced as all eyes turned toward them. She stood frozen, mutely searching for an escape. You shouldn't be here, she whispered, barely audible. But the authority in his voice didn't fade. I've been looking for you. We need to talk, he said, striding towards their booth, each step echoing the tumultuous waves crashing against her composure. Daniel gulped, inching back in his seat. She caught Jake glancing between them, uncertainty in his eyes. Confusion and fear tangled within her, like a ball of string pulled too tight. But she wouldn't let him take her back. Not now. No, Dad, I don't want to talk, Emily declared, surprising even herself with the strength behind her words. He stopped in front of the booth, taken aback, mouth agape. You don't get to decide that, he snapped, and Emily felt a tightness around her chest as he continued, look at you. This isn't you. You're lost. The anger boiled inside her, words bubbling to the surface. Maybe being found isn't what I want right now. A flicker of hurt crossed his face, and for just a moment, she felt the curtain of bitterness draw back. Was he really just worried? A part of her wanted to soften, to explain why she felt the need to escape. Is running away really the answer? He asked, his tone almost pleading now. The gaze he cast held a mix of concern and regret, but she shook her head slowly. Maybe it is for me, she said, voice shaking. Each word felt like it ripped from her heart. She looked at Daniel, then at Jake, who now put a protective hand on her back. Just listen to her. Jake interjected, stepping up. She needs space. You can't force her back into a life that suffocates her. The tension crackled in the air, thick and suffocating. Emily felt the weight of both men's protective energy surrounding her, pushing against the looming shadow of her father. She wished she could escape the moment, slip away into something lighter, but here they were, trapped in this suffocating diner. Her father looked defeated, processing Jake's words as if weighing his next move. Emily knew it was a pivotal moment not just for her, but for all of them. "Emily, please," he said, the warmth of sincerity creeping into his voice. "You may not see it, but we care about you." She held his gaze, searching for the father she once knew. The anger began to ebb, but the confusion remained. Was this a moment of truth? A start toward reconciliation, or merely another trap? As her thoughts swirled, she felt the deep thrum of urgency within her. Would they find a middle ground? Or would she have to choose one life over another and accept the consequences that came with it? Moments stretched out as silence enveloped their booth, and the diner faded, focusing on the quiet battle waging inside her. Before she could respond, the door swung open again, letting in a flood of cold air. And another figure stepped in, someone she never expected to see. Her heart skipped. What now? Would this be the final piece that shifted everything? Or was it just pushing her further away from what she truly wanted? The sound of the diner door swung open again was unmistakable, like a note in a symphony, unexpected and piercing. Emily turned, her heart racing, half expecting a familiar face that could either save or sink her. When she saw who it was, her breath caught in her throat. Maya, Emily's childhood friend. They had been inseparable until high school wore on them. Maya's bright, carefree spirit had drawn them together, but somewhere along the line, their paths diverged. Maya had chosen the straight and narrow, a stark contrast to Emily's tumultuous journey. "What are you doing here?" The question spilled out before she could contain it. A blend of surprise and resignation. Maya scanned the diner, eyes darting to the tension hanging heavy over their booth. In that quick assessment, Emily noticed a flicker of recognition. Maya understood the storm brewing just beneath the surface. "I came to grab some coffee," she said, her voice calm yet curious as she approached. But the moment her gaze fell on Emily's father, the confidence wavered. "Mr. Hawthorne," Maya acknowledged politely, her eyes narrowing slightly. The formality was a ruse. She knew the stakes were high. "Is this your friend?" Emily's dad shot back, his tone sharp and accusing, as if Maya somehow warranted scrutiny too. "Actually, yes," Maya reaffirmed, stepping beside Emily, her presence a comforting shield. "We've been friends for years." Emily's heart swelled with gratitude and vulnerability. Maya had always known how to lift her spirits, and here she was, stepping into a battlefield that felt more like a prison than a diner. "Emily, we need to get you out of here," Maya whispered urgently, leaning closer, ignoring the glaring eyes of her father. "You don't have to do this alone." Suddenly the words stuck in Emily's throat, weighed down by fear and confusion. Did she want to run again? The option felt inviting but also suffocating. Jake shifted uncomfortably beside her. "Your life is more than just running," he urged softly, his hand firm on her back, the warmth spreading across her tense body. But maybe she hesitated, searching Maya's eyes for clarity. "What if this is my chance to finally decide for myself?" Maya's brow furrowed, picking up the emotional turmoil. "You don't have to prove anything to him, Emily. You're not lost, you're exploring. There's a difference." For a fleeting moment, Emily felt the love they had once shared as friends wash over her. But the reality of her father's presence loomed large, a shadow buckling her knees. "Can you just give me?" she started, but her father surged forward. "Emily, stop this." His voice rang out again, abrupt and shattering. "This isn't a game. You don't understand the consequences of your actions." She winced, the words biting deep. "How do you know what I understand?" The silence that followed was a potent weapon, wrapping around them like thick fog. It took everything in her not to give in to the weight of his disappointment, not wanting to gauge its depth while she wallowed in uncertainty. Whatever you choose, we know you'll make the right call," Jake interjected, his unwavering support aflame against the cold. She sensed change blooming at that moment. Maya's presence, Jake's reassurance, all pieced together like a puzzle she had forgotten she was working on. Emily's heart thudded in her chest. She wanted this moment to stretch on forever, to bask in the warmth of their support. But the door swung open once more, heralding another figure into the diner. And Emily felt her resolve quiver. Who now? What would this new arrival bring to her swirling storm of emotions? Would it be a lifeline or another challenge to face with trembling hands? The figure stepping through the door was tall and confident, a silhouette backlit by the bright afternoon light filtering in from outside. A familiar voice cut through the tension. Emily. It was Sarah, the barista from the coffee shop down the street, her smile radiant against the gray atmosphere of the diner. Emily's heart raced again, but this time it was a mix of hope and dread. What was Sarah doing here? She felt a sudden rush of memories flooding her mind, the late-night coffees before a big test, the laughter that filled quiet corners of their town. Sarah had always brought a sense of normalcy, a reminder of her old life before everything started to spiral. Sarah? Emily found her voice, unsure whether to feel relieved or more trapped. Do you mind if I join you? Sarah's eyes flicked from Emily to her father, and then to Maya and Jake, picking up on the charged atmosphere. The cheer in her voice seemed to momentarily ease the weight of unspoken words. Sure, Emily said, as uncertainty stirred within her. The more, the merrier, right? Sarah slid into the booth, her smile unwavering even under the scrutiny of Emily's dad. What's going on? I walked by and sensed there was something off. Just family stuff, Emily muttered, feeling the walls close in again. But Sarah wasn't one to back down from digging a little deeper. Family stuff? You mean high cabin fever? She chuckled, trying to lighten the mood. But Emily could see her concern lurking beneath the humor. More like a family storm, Maya chimed in quietly, her protective instincts taking over once more, sensing the tension rising again. Whatever it is, I know you're strong, Sarah said, her voice steady and soft. But you shouldn't feel like you're trapped. Emily felt a swell of emotions, warmth wrapping around her like a familiar blanket. It was moments like these that reminded her she was not alone. But the tightness in her chest made it hard to breathe. I wish I could just run away sometimes, she admitted, her vulnerability pouring out. Then maybe you should, just for a little while, Sarah suggested, her gentle eyes locking onto Emily's. What would it take for you to feel free? Before Emily could respond, her father interjected, his anger curling around his words like smoke. This is not a joke, Emily. This is about your future, about responsibility. Dad, she started, but Maya held her gaze steady. This is about her future, too, she said pointedly, lending Emily the strength to push back just a little. Suddenly, Sarah leaned in closer. Emily, let us just imagine for a moment. What if you could step out of this booth and take control of your path? Just for a day? As Emily looked around, the diner felt smaller. Each face with its own story, her father, protective and panicked, Jake, a solid rock, and Maya, the friend from a different life, and now Sarah, urging her with kindness. A flicker of wild freedom ignited within her, begging to be unleashed. What if Emily pondered aloud, feeling a strange thrill at the thought of taking back control? Even if just for a fleeting moment. But before she could solidify that thought, the door swung open yet again, the bell chiming once more, cutting through the fragile moment. Emily turned her head, heart thundering in her chest, as another familiar face stepped in. What new complications would this person who seemed to know her better than she thought add to her already chaotic life? Would they rewrite her choices or solidify her resolve? Emily's stomach tightened at the sight of the new arrival. It was Jake's older brother, Ryan, tall and effortlessly charming, with that easy smile that always set hearts aflutter. She'd known him since she was little, but now, under the weight of the moment, he felt more like a stranger, someone from her past that didn't quite fit into the mess of her present. Hey, Emily, he greeted, scanning the diner until his eyes landed on her. The smile faded, replaced by an expression of concern. What's going on? Without waiting for an answer, he walked over and slid into the seat opposite her, effectively shutting out the world. Just a little family drama, Emily said, trying to keep her tone light, but the heaviness lingered, thick like the air before a storm. Fidgeting with her hands, she couldn't ignore the flush creeping up her cheeks. Ryan had always made her nervous in a way she couldn't quite understand. Maybe it was the way he saw right through her, how, even without saying much, he could make everything feel more intense. Drama? You can talk to me, right? He leaned forward, his gaze steady. I hate seeing you upset. Thanks, Ryan. The words hung in the air, barely a whisper. She wanted to fall into his sincere gaze, to let her fears spill out like the coffee spilling over on the table. But the room felt too small for that kind of honesty. Maybe Sarah chimed in, breaking the desperate silence. You should tell him what's really going on. Sometimes just saying it out loud it can help. Emily felt the pressure of their eyes on her, a spotlight she didn't want to stand in. Her father's stern visage loomed large in her mind. The stakes felt too high. Yet, the story of her spiraling life demanded to be told. It's complicated, Ryan. My dad is pushing for me to follow a certain path. College, a safe future. He wants me to stay close, like I can't make choices for myself. As she spoke, her voice wavered, cracking under the weight of unasked questions. But I don't even know if I want that. Ryan nodded, absorbing every word. What do you want then? The question hung in the air longer than she expected. What did she want? I just want to feel free, she said, her voice gaining strength. I sometimes think about leaving all of this behind, just for a bit. To figure out who I am, without all these expectations. And you should. Ryan encouraged, a spark of defiance lighting his eyes. You're too young to let anyone decide your life for you, not even your dad. You've got to find your own path. With each word, a flicker of hope ignited in her chest. The possibility felt terrifying yet exhilarating. Just as she was starting to let herself believe. That same bell above the door chimed again. Emily's heart stuttered. Sitting at the entrance was someone she never expected to see today, Clara, her childhood best friend, whom she hadn't spoken to since the fallout of their old disagreements. Clara stood there, hesitating, uncertain. Yet the look on her face was unmistakably ready to confront old ghosts. Clara's voice caught, the tension in the air sharper than ever. What were the chances that during this critical moment in her life, Clara would appear? Would she be a source of support or just another reminder of the past Emily tried to escape? Emily's pulse raced, caught in a whirlwind of emotions. All the unresolved feelings about their friendship threatened to crash over her. And in that moment, she wondered, could Clara offer clarity, or would she complicate everything even more? Clara took a hesitant step forward, her eyes searching Emily's. The years apart had left a distance between them. A void filled with unspoken words and bitter memories. Emily's heart pounded in her chest. Would this encounter lead to healing, or even more hurt? Is it okay if I sit? Clara asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Emily glanced at Ryan, then back to Clara. Something flared in her, a mix of resentment and longing. She felt torn. The warmth generated by Ryan's support was like a beacon, while Clara represented a chapter that had been so difficult to close. Sure, Emily replied, trying to keep her cool as Clara slid into the booth next to Ryan. The air felt thick with tension, every second stretching to a minute. I know we haven't talked in a while, Clara started, her fingers fiddling nervously with the sleeve of her jacket. But I heard about your dad's plans for you, and I just wanted to say that I'm really sorry. Emily's heart sank. You heard? Clara nodded, her eyes glistening. Yeah. Sarah mentioned something. I guess I didn't really understand. All I could think was how I might have misjudged you. Nobody spoke. Emily looked down at the table, fighting the wave of emotions that threatened to overwhelm her. It was easier to stay mad, to hold on to that pain. But here was Clara, apologies trembling on her lips, ready to bridge the chasm. Look, Clara continued, her voice stronger now. I didn't get why you wanted to be different. Wanted to break away. I thought you were being reckless. Reckless? Emily said, the hurt flooding back. I just wanted to be myself. I felt like I was losing who I was. And you just turned away. I know, and I'm sorry for that, Clara responded earnestly. I should have been there for you. I should have listened. Maybe if I had. Ryan shifted slightly, giving Emily a look that said she could take her time. That he was here for her. She needed to decide if letting Clara back in could mean something more than just reopening old wounds. So what now? Emily asked, her voice trembling. You want to just pretend like everything is fine? No, not at all, Clara said, shaking her head. But maybe I can help you figure out what you want. I've been giving a lot of thought to what really matters in life. Emily raised an eyebrow, skeptical but curious. And what is that? Freedom, Clara answered, her eyes lighting up with conviction. The freedom to choose your own path, even if it's messy. I've felt trapped too, and I think we can figure it out together. The idea hung in the air like an electric charge. Could they really map out these turbulent waters as friends instead of adversaries? Emily wanted to believe it, but the scars of the past lingered. "You're serious?" Emily said, voice softening despite the conflict in her heart. "Absolutely," Clara said, earnestness shining in her eyes. "Let us figure out what it means to be free. Together." Just then, the diner's door swung open, drawing their attention. A familiar figure stepped in, and Emily's breath caught as she recognized Jake. His presence changed the atmosphere entirely. He scanned the room until his gaze locked onto Emily. The weight of her choices felt heavier than ever. Could this unexpected reunion change everything again? Emily's heart raced as Jake approached their booth, his familiar face both comforting and unsettling. Memories flooded back all at once: the laughter, the late-night conversations, the promises made under starlit skies. But those memories were accompanied by the pain of their last encounter, where everything fell apart. "Hey, Emily," Jake said, that easy smile lighting up his features. He seemed unfazed by the tension hanging over the table. Clara shifted in her seat, clearly uncomfortable, but Emily felt a surge of emotion pierce through her uncertainty. "Jake," she replied, not sure what else to say. The warmth of nostalgia was dampened by her fear. The last time she had seen him, he had been hurt, and she had been trying to find herself. "Mind if I join you?" he asked, glancing at Ryan and Clara. "Sure," Ryan said, a welcoming nod, while Clara looked down at her hands, her demeanor shifting again. Jake slid into the booth across from Emily, his eyes searching hers for a familiar spark. "How have you been?" The question lingered in the air. How could she answer that without pulling apart the fragile thread of connection that Clara had just begun to mend? "Been better," she admitted, forcing a smile that didn't quite reach her eyes. "I heard about everything," Jake said, his voice lowering as if he understood the weight of the moment. "I'm really sorry about your dad. That's tough." The pain of her father's expectations washed over her again, but it mixed now with something else: relief that someone still cared. "Thanks," she replied, her voice barely above a whisper. Clara's voice sliced through the moment, filled with a steely resolve. "Emily's trying to figure it all out, Jake. It's a lot more complicated than it seems." Jake looked caught off guard. "What do you mean?" "Just that it's not about what everyone else wants for you, you know?" Clara leaned back, relaxing slightly. "It's about what you want." Emily caught Clara's gaze, a flood of gratitude rising within her. Clara was standing firm beside her. Maybe they could do this together after all. Jake tilted his head, eyebrows raised. "Is that what you want, Em? To break free?" The question felt heavy yet freeing. Did she want to? Did she really know what that even meant anymore? "I think I'm still figuring that out," she confessed, her voice faltering. "But I want to explore what freedom means for me. I don't want to be who everyone else thinks I should be." Jake's expression shifted, a mixture of understanding and admiration. "I get that. I didn't realize how much you struggled with this until I heard you were breaking off those plans." Clara's eyes sparkled with hope, and Emily felt a flicker of something new inside her, a spark of courage, maybe. "Sometimes you have to take risks to find out who you really are," Jake continued, his tone earnest. As the warmth of their conversation enveloped her, Emily considered the path ahead. Could the four of them be part of this new chapter? Could turning back to each other bring about the change they all needed? "Maybe we should all take a leap together," Clara suggested suddenly. "After all, none of us really knows where this journey will lead." Ryan leaned in, his presence steady and reassuring. "I'm all for a little adventure." Just as laughter began to bubble, the door swung open again, and a loud voice burst through the air. "Emily!" It was her father. The sudden shift of emotions rattled through the booth, leaving her breathless. Could they face yet another storm together? As he strode toward the booth, Emily's father radiated authority, his brow furrowed and mouth set in a grim line. All eyes turned to him, anticipation hanging like heavy fog. It was the moment she had feared yet wanted to face. "Again?" he rumbled, staring at Emily. "We need to talk. Now." Emily took a deep breath, her heart racing. But she could feel the warmth of her friends around her, grounding her. Jake shot her a supportive smile, while Clara and Ryan stiffened, mirroring her rise in courage. Emily wasn't alone anymore. She had them, and they had her back. Dad, she started, steadying her voice under the pressure. I can't keep living the life you want for me. I'm tired of feeling lost in my own world. His expression flickered, tension washing over his face as he processed her words. You don't understand the responsibilities you're shirking. Maybe so, she admitted, a breath of defiance escaping her lips. But I have to figure out my own path. I can't just stay on yours. The diner hushed, the weight of her declaration reverberating around the room. Emily met her father's gaze, searching for understanding. Would he see the authenticity in her plea? You think running away can fix everything? He asked, his voice strained. You're throwing your future away. No. I'm finally taking it back. Emily felt the warmth of conviction swell in her, golden and bright. I'm not throwing anything away. I'm choosing what I want. And running doesn't equate to choosing my life. For a moment, uncertainty flickered in his eyes. And Emily seized the opportunity. Dad, I love you and I want to be honest. But if you can't accept my choices, then I want to stay locked up in your world. Silence fell, thick and consuming. Then an unexpected smile broke like dawn, genuine and warm. Emily, he hesitated. I just don't want you to struggle. I know, she said softly, tears prickling her eyes. But this journey is mine, Dad. All of it, the good, the hard. I want to explore where it takes me. And I want your support, not your judgment. He shifted, visibly struggling with his emotions. The tension between expectation and acceptance was palpable, but Emily could feel the ancient thread connecting them straining beneath that weight. I want what's best for you, he admitted, his voice trembling slightly. But maybe I need to learn that's not what I think is best. Maybe it's what you, Emily, truly want. I'm willing, he let out a long breath, to try. A wave of gratitude washed over her. And in that moment, she knew this was the turning point. Thank you, Dad. But before her father could respond, Jake interjected. You know, it's not just Emily who is finding her footing. He gestured to himself and others. We're all exploring what freedom means to us. Together, Ryan added, his eyes sparkling with defiance. And we can all find that path, and learn from each other. Emily's father looked them all over, uncertainty creeping back into his gaze mixed with surprise. This is a lot to take in. Clara reached out to touch Emily's arm gently. It's okay to take a moment, really. The sound of laughter from the other booths echoed softly around them, perhaps a beacon of hope. Her father nodded, his grip on anger slowly loosening. I realize that life isn't black and white. I see that now. Change is hard, Emma added, her voice catching his gaze as she shared her sentiment. Life is messy. But if we let fear hold us back, we never step into what's waiting on the other side. A pause followed, and the weight of uncertainty softened. Looking around at her friends, at the family she had chosen for herself, Emily felt a swell of hope. She had fought for this moment, and it felt as if a new sunlight enveloped them. We're not just running away. We're running towards something. Towards our dreams. I think that's the key, her father said finally, the light in the depths of his eyes flickering with acceptance. To find something worth running toward. Emily felt the air around them shift, lighter now, like fog dissipating under the sun. Can we navigate this together, then? He hesitated, searching her face. If you promise to keep talking to me, I don't want to lose you. Emily nodded, warmth blooming in her chest. I promise, Dad. And I want that for everyone here. Suddenly, a ripple of laughter broke through the diner once more, lightness filling the air. Clara, Maya, Jake, and Ryan joined in, feeling the bond strengthen among them. This chaotic, vibrant family of friendships was hers to hold, to nurture, and to navigate the future with courage. Her father smiled, tentative but there, and the weight that had bound them crackled with the beginnings of hope. Together, they would carve out their lives. They would paint the walls of their existence with the colors they felt inside, vibrant and bright. Adventure awaits, Jake said, a spark gleaming in his eyes. And they all shared a laugh among the chatter, fully aware that life was about to begin anew. As the rain outside began to slow, the sun broke through the clouds, spilling sunlight into the diner. And just like that, with laughter cascading through the booth, Emily recognized that this escape had opened the door to a new life, unbound, fearless, and undeniably hers. You need to subscribe now to not miss the next exclusive stories. This is the moment to show your support. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. Comment your reactions and feelings about this incredible ending. And don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Remember, only true fans understand the importance of supporting the channel through these actions.